which might be the only reason that might save him. But I think the problem with a lot of these situations is that when we rush it, and this is why I felt it was more so trolling, so to speak, or trying to get some attention, because if Jason Whitlock looks at this empathetically, you're looking at a man who had his house vandalized when he moved into a upper echelon community.
Right.
Number one. Number two, he has a teenage son who's an athlete. So you have to, if you empathize with these individuals and put yourself in their shoes, I think you wouldn't rush to judge a lot of times. And I think that's what's missing here. I think we're so caught up in the attention seeking of social media and the realm they're in. He's a reporter. He has to, that's what he does. News, sports, it's all about ratings, reviews. But I think there's certain issues and certain levels of discussion that need to be had, certain levels of empathy that need to be had before we rush into certain comments. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But I just I just don't think Whitlock looks at it from an empathetic point of view before he makes certain comments. And there's a certain reality that he has to understand that. Because now when you do that, you're discrediting the Jim Browns of the world and other athletes that have stepped into roles to be community activists and civil leaders. You're discrediting it because you take a certain level of celebrity and success disengages you from that.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that because that's where I was going with that. So that saves us the additional 1.5 minutes I would have taken up to make that point. But we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we missed last week, so we're going to talk about The Last Dance episodes 4, 5, 6, and 7. Wait a minute, hold on. I said those wrong.
No.
5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
We're on 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we'll be back, and then we're going to talk about this Last Dance.
You gotta call the count from Sesame Street, man, and tighten up, man.
I know. I know. I got that way off. I was like, as soon as I got to 7, I was like, wait a minute. I didn't
call the count. Call the count.
Right. Hey, we'll be back. I'm gonna consult with the count, figure out what to do about these numbers. Mac and Free, but our names are not important. We'll be right back.
Them to win and be a part of that as well. Do this. I'm only doing it because it is who I am. That's how I played the game. That was my mentality. If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way. Break.
That was Michael Jordan. For those of you who haven't seen it, getting teary-eyed at the end of the 7th installment of The Last Dance, and I'll be honest with you, that one caught me not only by surprise, but I had to get up and walk away like Mike, man, because it's
the most sensitive jokers.
But you know what it is? It's when if you haven't felt that way, then you haven't been that passionate for something. And what that something is can vary for different people. It just depends. But you haven't worked hard to feel that emotion. And I have, on 3 different occasions, worked for something so hard that it brings you to tears. And it's only happened to me 3 times. The first time, senior year, high school, I decided, you know what, I'm going to forego playing basketball and I'm going to start focusing on my career. And I took TV1 at Weaver Education Center and I busted my ass. And as a result, I was given an award at the end of the year as being one of the best TV production students. That award was handed to me by Sandra Hughes of WFNY News 2. And that was emotional. Second time, actually, I got 4 occasions. Second time, college graduation. Third time, because I was an unconventional student, and for me to do what I was able to do under the circumstances, what I did them, I went through a lot. That was emotional. The third time, I was given an award at work for achieving sales goals. And it was, again, it's the circumstances for which you win them. Like if you hit a lottery and you just kind of stumbled upon it and you got it, then that's one thing. But when you absolutely put everything you have into something and then you achieve something, that can bring you to tears. And along the way, it leaves people not to like you. And the fourth time, you know what that was. CMCC, the Carolina Middle School Central, I forgot, whatever our conference is called.
Wow.
I think it's 3 C's and an M, and I don't know where the M's placed. Central Carolina Middle School Conference. That's what it is, CCMC. When we won that, and it was so much work was put into that season, when you win it and you're the underdog, it pours out of you. And I remember telling you that I felt like when they doused me with water, when my players doused me with water, it was almost for some of them, I think it was in anger. Because I know I wasn't, excuse me, I know I wasn't easy to work with, but we had to achieve the goal. And I'm telling you, I cried like hell when we won that championship. So it's in those moments when you know how much work goes into something, and it doesn't matter what that something is. And that's where I had to be able to smell the roses. And even you reminded me, and I was like, it's just a middle school championship. You're like, yeah, but it's a championship. Like, people who don't win championships every day, like, they're hard to achieve on any level. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. And to see him get that emotional, because you know it wasn't easy. And if there's one thing that this series should remind people of, or refresh some people's memories, because maybe I was a different character in middle school, but I remember how Michael Jordan was maligned by the media. So all of that emotion is coming out of it too, and what he had to endure to become recognized and acknowledged as one of the best players in the league, more so than just being the best player to ever play the game. And to see that emotion come out of him, like it hit home. I still feel the way I feel about it, but it still hit home. And that's what's been the magic of this series, is seeing how hard. And I remember, I wish I could play clips of it now, but I remember when we first started talking about this show, I said I was more curious to find out why it was 10 episodes.
Yeah.
They went through a lot for this to be about one season. And all this is about is what they had to go through as a group that season and win at that.
Yeah.
Like this was not an easy season.
Well, I think too, though, I think 5 episodes are for the season and 5 are, which has been done brilliantly, gone into the background stories of the franchise, Michael Jordan, which leads you back to the points of where guys were at this point. You know, Phil Jackson, management. They've done a brilliant job with that. I do, and I do understand, and I just tease about the sensitivity, but anytime you work and set your mind to it with a group, especially of different personalities, of different backgrounds, and you achieve the ultimate at your craft, that's an emotional time. I only have one memory where I bawled for achievement, and but it wasn't at the achievement because it wasn't something I set out to do per se. but it was the fact that my peers recognized me, and that was the year, because it was totally unexpected. The year my school voted me teacher of the year, and when you do stuff and you don't do it for that purpose or whatever, but it's
Yes.
still recognized by your peers, that's something because, like you said, you put the work in to be good at what you do.
Right.
Uh, and it was just a blessing, and to see the excitement of my students and my co-teachers and workers and everything, that does. So I totally understand that. Um, uh, but y'all are still sensitive to a degree. No, I'm joking. But
Whatever.
I do remember that, and I think at that point it was really emotional because guys were honest too. They were like, Mike was hard to deal with. And Mike was like, yeah, but I had to get you to a point. And I think all those guys appreciated it after it was said and done because they hadn't been there. And you remember Mike went through some tough seasons where it didn't seem like they were built for winning early on, and just
Yeah.
the trial. So it was just due. It was just due. But I need him to be a little tougher in the last 2 episodes. Now, don't be crying and needing a break, man.
Well, Mike is obviously an emotional person because he went back and what's his name, LeBradford Smith. He went and ate
Yeah,
LeBradford Smith up. He had to make up a whole story just to get himself motivated. So he's a self motivated character. There have been some conversations, of course, that we've seen where who you would want to be your teammate more between him and LeBron. And this, I mean, again, I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. For the people who don't like LeBron, there's a reason this conversation continues. It's because the closest thing we've gotten to Mike is number 23 in LA, whether you like it or not. And to be honest with you, the LeBron conversations are starting to irk me a little bit because, quite honestly, this is Michael Jordan's time. This is his moment to tell his story, and this is an opportunity for him to get in front of the younger group of people who've never seen him play and let them make a decision for themselves and then determine that. And we really need to stop with the LeBron madness surrounding this. But I honestly look at him and go, yeah, I would have been able to play with him. Like I wouldn't have been the kind of teammate. I probably would have been the kind of teammate that he liked because I wouldn't have we'd have fought. Like I listened to some of the stories and I'm like, yeah, me and Mike would have fought. Like how Scotty Burrell just was able to smile and go, oh, that's just Mike. Like, nah. Like, me and Mike would have been the best friends, dog. Because I know he would have gotten the best out of me, but I'd have been talking shit to him in such a way that there's no way.
It's interesting because, Barkley kind of ridiculed Mike after that, talking about, Mike knew who he was picking on and chose to pick on.
Yeah.
And then several have defended him, said, no, he was that way with everybody. He got fight with Will Purdue, 7-footers and stuff like that. You never know. I think it's just that day. One thing that's been prevalent, though, is Mike's competitiveness is 24/7. When you look at, even when he talked about when Doug Collins was coach, he got mad because Doug did give him some calls and stormed out. He was mad, when Phil and the practices and guys fouling him and dogging him, and that competitive edge was 24/7. What was funny, and then I'm a toss it back to you. When Mike talked about when he filmed Space Jam and they set him up the dome on the set and it was good. Everybody came out to play the pickup games. It was funny. I saw a post from the comedian actor Bill Bellamy, one of my favorites, who shared a story when he was shooting on the same Warner Brothers lot, and he saw MJ at a restaurant